Shalom, Israel. Getting right into it. Another quick video, fairly quick. Um, we're in spiritual times, and this is what most of these black women, look like spiritually. You know, most of these black women, we call them the 2/3. They look like this inwardly, spiritually, because we're living in spiritual times. Spiritual things are being revealed. We're in spiritual Sodom and Egypt. Even if you look like this, your spirit looks like that, you know. So you could be pretty all you want, but inside, and that's what the Most High sees inside of you. It says the inward man. Let me go to that, including the woman. The inward man, King James Version. 2 Corinthians. Well, this is another scripture pertaining to the inner man. 2 Corinthians 4:16, for which cause we faint not, but though our outwardly man perish, yet the inner man is renewed day by day. So these women that have not worked on their inner woman. It even says example of Sarah, obeying Abraham, calling him Lord. I know women got a major problem with that, and the fact that a man could have more than one woman. He might even choose her just, on this part, on this side. It's just like, yeah, I'm just with you. But the fact that we can have more than one woman, it bothers them. It bothers their inward woman, and that's why they dress the way they do with the boobs and asses out, because something's wrong on the inside. They use that to validate their presence, to validate their womanhood. Seduction is used to validate, so to speak, their power of womanhood. But this is what they look like. Just know, you women, you can look in the mirror all you want and see prettiness. You can make up yourselves, paint your faces, but if your spirit ain't right, you look like this, man. And people are going to start noticing that your spirit is not right. Jake is starting to notice, and beauty has nothing to do so much with the outward. Now, you have such thing as someone looking fair, and you'll have a pretty woman. You look, but the main core of her beauty is her attitude, her spirit. Goes all with that. Outwardly appearance, King James Version. And here's an example in Samuel, 1 Samuel 16:7. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because you wouldn't be like, he got to be 6 feet, he got to be 6'2", 6'3". If he's 6'1", I need somebody that's 6'3". Just basing a whole relationship on 2-3 inches of height. It says, for the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart, which is your mind. Now, it's such thing as first impressions. As first thing, something as, a a lot of women they dress like that, but they're not really, whores in particular. Like, as far as they might have a husband at the time, but we know the laws. You're supposed to be with one husband. You'd be adulterer unless he dies, and it's according to the law of things, of course. But you'll have a woman that's married, but she'll dress like that and say, you know what, I'm married though. You're like, oh shit, I didn't know, but by the way you dress, it seemed like you're a party woman, you party, and then you be like thinking like, if a man had enough money and lived better than her husband, she might even consider. A lot of that's been going on. Like, and with an argument with her husband, she'll let her husband know, like, yeah, I got a lot of men wanting to be with me, so you better be glad, this and that, or I need him. She get tired. I'm tired of this life living in an apartment. I'm tired of this. I need a 6-figure man. I'm worth more than what you treat me. That's this woman right here. Outward adorning, King James Version. 1 Peter 3:3. It says, let me go to let me go to 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands. Now you might say, well, that's the wives, I'm single. Well, there's such supervision that we had under the fathers, and then the fathers gave the daughters to the men. So, you were always under supervision. And even to this day, you might call yourself a free spirit or independent, but you grew up in a world that was already there, to where you have teachers, supervisors, whatever, and you grow up and you get a job and you got a boss. So you're not independent. And, all these platforms that these women are on, if they wanted to pull the plug on it, they'd be like, they can. You can't sue somebody, sue TikTok, sue YouTube if they take their channel down, or their channel or their network be taken down. Or saying, I was using this as my platform. This helped me pay my bills. Nah, that you can't do that. Neither can you do that with anything else that's set up before you were even born. It says, be in subjection, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, that they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold their chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting their hair, of wearing of gold, or of putting on apparel, but let it be the hidden man. See, that lets you know that it's talking about, you, because woman came out of a man. So y'all, y'all fall in that category too. When Most High said man is y'all too. Mankind includes y'all. But you do have certain levels of position, office, also of role, the role that you're supposed to play, according to the order of how it was set up, that man is the head of woman, but Yahweh Shai is the head of man, and Yahweh is the head of Yahweh Shai. It says, but let it be the hid man of the heart, of the mind, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit. There you go. Quiet, meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of the Most High of great price. For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, the holy women, separate women from the world and from what other women do, that manner in the old time who trusted in the Most High Yahweh Shai, adoring themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, man. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, in line, in order, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement. So, you know, if you have the prettiest women, and you know, a woman that maybe they choose to be humble to a so-called greater man than what she usually runs into, which is for her six-figure man, which is for her a rich man, got a mansion, a man that may let her sleep on his couch, rich couch, his rich house couch for a few days. Like, oh, I think it was a movie called Pretty Woman that kind of showed that. Or Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts. Is that her name? But, you know, today is so much so-called independence out there. You have a woman saying, you know, I don't need a man for shit. I can pay my own bills, or, you know, I have a man pay. I have a simp man to pay my bills. They don't call them simps, but you could easily get put in the friend zone, you know, by just what you have or what you don't have. You know, you could be a great man in a low status, you know, a respectable man and honorable man and man that take care of himself, pay his bills, and they still like overlook you and say, yeah, you're not compatible with me. And, you know, that's without wisdom. It says he deprived her of wisdom. It says knowledge, wisdom shall be the stability of thy times. It says wisdom is above rubies and gold. So a lot, you know, some of them are waking up and they're like, yeah, you know, even with polygamy, they be like, yeah, this stuff ain't working like the way we're doing it. Me searching for the perfect man is not working. Now they do have project experiment men to where they feel like they can mold him into what they want him to be. They mold him into that six-figure. That's why they get a better job. You know, go on this. But when you get a better job, they be like, well, he making a lot of money now, or enough money to take care of himself, so he might run off with some other woman. And a man will, if you cause him a burden, because a woman's supposed to be a pillar of rest. A woman is possession. If you cause him a burden, he will go to another woman. You know? And sometimes he don't even have to have all the money that, you know, that she would probably expect him to have to get another woman. I mean, y'all talk about how black men are with these Edomite women or so-called white. Some of them might be Jakes, but they usually like out of shape. Jake don't care as long as she's submissive. You'd be like, how is he with this bum ass Edomite? I look better than her. I got a better body than her, you know. But it's the inward that he looks at. Like you're not. Most black women are just not submissive, and they got a hard edge, like a competitive edge too, that makes them look, you know, more. I wouldn't say, that makes them along the lines of how a man would act. You know, Shiro warriors. You know, muscles and a muscle head, muscle mind, a competitive mind against the man, which should not even be the case at all. You know, if a woman is with a man, no way should be competitive against her own husband. Now, trying to keep up or trying to be compatible is a different story. I mean, but be compatible as a woman, you know, and, you know, women, contrary to popular belief, women be like, oh, no, he's supposed to help me. Nah, y'all supposed to help us. It says Adam was given a helpmeet, like it to himself, and, you know, the man helps too with holding down the household, but you're supposed to be a pillar of rest, a comfort. You're supposed to, you know, massage him, pop his toes, you know, braid his hair, whatever, you know. But, you know, a lot of women are single because they look like this inwardly. And they think it's outwardly. That's why they say, well, you know what? I'm gonna highlight my lips with makeup, with lipstick. I'm gonna put on makeup. You got women hardly leave the house now without no makeup. You know, because they trying to figure out what it is. Like, yeah, you know, they're a top-notch pretty woman. They might even feel like they submissive. I clean, I cook, I do this. What's wrong? Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes the men that you had all put aside for those years, they didn't found somebody already. Just like Vivica Fox, she was a pretty young woman, pretty as hell, model type. A lot of these women, they're still not married. You know, even what's her name? The other one. Yeah. A lot of these women are not married. Maya, she married her damn self. You know. Tracy Ellis Ross, she complains about not being able to find a man. You know, and the women that do have husbands, they in and out like 2 year span. They divorced. You know, the relationship went sour. And then they go to the next man. And next thing you know, like Jennifer Lopez, she can't keep a man for ish. She didn't at least have 5, 6, 7 public marriages, not counting the ones she been sleeping with, you know, outside of marriage. But these women, you know, still won't consider her a whore. She's just romantic, hopeless romantic. She's been abused and her heart's been played with. We know what the scriptures say. Women's hearts are snares and nets. They play games. You know, it's a trap. And even when they get pregnant, they trap you. Because they be like, well, shit, if I get a rich man, I'll be set for life because we got a child together. So he had to pay child support. You know how the celebrity men, when they get divorced, you already know these women are getting millions. If they're a millionaire, she's getting millions for her child support. Maybe half or more, like Dr. Dre's wife. So many others, Tyrese's wife. So many others, you know. Yeah. So, you know, this is what you're going to start looking like even more, because we're in the spirit. Most High is raising the spirits up of people. He's bringing the spirits out of people, meaning that he's revealing more of what is spiritual than what is carnal. And telling you, when men see you, no matter how pretty you are, and you out of order, and you got a problem with this attitude, they're going to see this. And the world is going to see this. You're going to look like this, man. And they say, well, it's not all about the looks. Tell me what man and what would want a woman like this. Because her aura and her facial expressions and appearance is of a woman with a bad attitude that hates men, or that's hateful, period, and bitter. Anyway, till next video, shalom. Hopefully that's one edifying shalom. Giving all, if I haven't said it's lucky, giving all praises to Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kakadash Wathai. Double honors to the apostle, elder bishops, great millstone. Much salutations to the brothers. Teach your word for the hopeful elect, soon to be elect, most high will. To hopefully extend elect shalom blessings. Be safe out there, brothers, because we're in the time of seduction too. If a woman can't have you, she's gonna be like, well, we're gonna just seduce. You know, we're gonna raise that sexual bar up. You know, get freaky as we can. You know, but anyway, the daughters have gone out of the way of the fathers. Shalom.